What's up, everybody? Coops coming at you with my first ever YouTube video. I just recently started playing Apex Legends, and I am so mad that I did not start playing this game sooner. I started at the end of Season 8, and I'm absolutely loving the game. Season 9 has been a ton of fun. I have not won a lot of games, but that is A-okay. I stream on Twitch almost daily. I'll leave a link to my Twitch in the description below. Come check it out. Come follow. Come laugh at my super body gameplay. So, like I said, this is my first ever YouTube video. I thought it'd be super fitting to do an Apex Legends tier list. I'm still learning the game, still learning movement, still learning the characters. So, if you guys have any different opinions, any thoughts of where I should put each character, feel free to comment down below. You're probably more correct than I am. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. The way we're going to do this, we're just going to start at the top here, move left to right, go through all the characters. Anyone in chat right now, I appreciate y'all. If you got any thoughts, please let me know. Please let me know. Let's start with Pathfinder here, okay? Pathfinder, he's a solid character. Okay, his movement is pretty good. It's pretty good. I feel like his tactical maybe should have less of a cooldown. Maybe like 15 seconds. I think it's like, what, like 20 right now? I feel like you should be able to use his zipline fairly more often. Because of that, he's only like a B tier character to me. Like I said, he's a lot of fun. His ultimate is good, lets you get high ground, okay? It assists your, maybe you're playing with some homies who don't have like movement characters. His zipline can help you out with that. Next, we got Wattson. And I know when Wattson first came into the game, she was kind of busted. I wasn't playing then, but I've heard that she was actually insane. She recently has not got a lot of love. She got a big, they called it a big buff, where she could place 2 dinosaurs on the map now instead of 1. I have read some tweets and saw some tweets that she's getting worked on, but for right now, I think she's like a solid C, maybe even like D tier character. Her fences just don't really match the game, if that makes sense. Apex is all about movement, and she doesn't really do that. She doesn't really do that. I could see in maybe like, I don't know, like late game, she's kind of OP. Her ultimate is nice, but in terms of getting to late game, she's not very efficient at doing that. Next, we got Wraith. And Wraith is our first S tier character, okay? Her tactical can get her out of any situation. Majority of the time when I'm in a fight, the only character, the only player that makes it out of that fight is a Wraith player. She does not get damaged no matter what you do, no matter how often you shoot at her, how many bullets you try to put into her. It doesn't phase her, right? On top of that, her ultimate is clutch. It comes in super clutch with many different circumstances. I've been knocked many a times, and my homie playing Wraith will make a portal. I then just hop in the portal, and he can res me. Wraith is definitely an S tier character. Now, hop into Rampart. Rampart has some of the coolest skins in the game, if you ask me. They're super colorful, super vibrant. But she doesn't really do a whole lot. She's in kind of that same category as Wattson, meaning if you get to late game, she's kind of busted. Her, what is it called? The block, whatever they put up, her, I don't know, I'm losing my words here, but it's fine. You guys know what I'm talking about. Getting to late game, she's nice. She would definitely be like a C, maybe even a B tier character if you could like remove her ultimate, if you could take her turret around and shoot people and walk around and stuff like that. That would definitely make her better, but for right now, she's sitting in that D category. Next, we got Fuse, and this man right here he's going through a tough time. Okay, he definitely needs some work. Puppy, what's good, man? What's good? I appreciate y'all in the chat hanging out, laughing at me while I make this video. Like I was saying, Fuse, he's got to go in F. I think he's the worst character in the game. He definitely needs some work. He's fun to play. Launching the grenades, his passive is super fun to use. The only problem is he can only carry so many grenades, and the grenades are usually gone after the first fight, right? And no one really carries grenades, so it's not like you can restock on grenades, get into the next fight, and go from there. His ultimate needs some work. The only time his ultimate is honestly clutch is when you're inside of a building. For me personally, I don't really like fighting in buildings, so I don't really get much use out of it. When you're out in the open, a lot of characters can just like hop over his ultimate, can jump around it, whatever the case may be. Like I said, Apex is all about movement, and people can easily get out of this man's ultimate. Next, we got Revenant, who is a man I just spent a lot of money on. I did just buy his heirloom. I would say he's definitely an A tier character, our first A tier character. He's not busted, but he's just solid all around, right? His climbing buff is insane. It's just fun to climb every building in the game, being able to climb to high distances, get some high ground. It's legit. His tactical is annoying. It did just get a nerf. It went from, what, 20 seconds of silence to 15 seconds now. But the man's still legit, right? It's just annoying. You go up against a good Revenant and you can't use your abilities. Apex is all about movement and abilities. Good Revenant, you're not allowed to do that. His ultimate is just fun to use. You can drop it and you basically just gain a second life. You can push recklessly. I know I need all the help I can get. So definitely having a second life is much needed. Next, we got Valk, the newest character in the game. I jump back and forth with Valk. I want to say she's S tier, but I don't think she's quite too busted. I think she's actually very well balanced. I will put her in front of Revenant just because her ultimate is basically one of the greatest things in the game. You know what I mean? Being able to just send it anytime you want. It is clutch. If you're playing with characters who don't have a lot of good movement, maybe you're playing with a Wattson or a Rampart or even like a Lifeline, you just hop on a Valk ult and you're taking off ready for the next fight. Being able to fly, I definitely think it's underrated. Going up against a good Valk is, once again, kind of like Revenant, it's just super annoying. A good Valk knows how to use the Vital Jets, take high ground, stuff like that. So she's definitely A tier. I don't think she's quite busted like an S tier character, though. Next, we got Crypto, who's probably one of the coolest designs in the game, or character designs in the game. Just like his voice lines are sick. Just kind of like the way he acts is kind of rad. And the man always has his hands in his pockets, so you know he's not worried about anything. I'm going to put Crypto in the C tier category, our first C tier. He's definitely like a viable pick, if that makes sense. He's just not... He just doesn't have movement. We talked about how like Apex is all about movement. Crypto does not have a lot of that. And he's kind of gets lost behind or left behind a lot of the time because he has to sit in his drone or kind of camp in a corner while he's flying his drone around. He has to then exit out of his drone, go meet up with his homies, fly the drone back, do it all over again, right? So he's kind of C tier. He's viable. He's fun to play. He's definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? He's definitely original, if that makes sense. There's no one that really does what Crypto does. He's just not very viable. Next, we got Caustic. And I hate to say it, Caustic is D tier. This man is down towards the bottom. I wasn't playing when his gas was busted. I've heard that his gas does crazy things or used to do crazy things. Now, you walk into a Caustic trap and it doesn't really stress you out. You can literally res your homie in the middle of a Caustic trap and you'll be just fine. His heirloom is cool. I will say he has one of the coolest heirlooms in the game, maybe because that'll jump him up to C tier. But in terms of ability, his kit, what he does, he's just not quite there. He needs some work. Plus, he's a big body. I played Caustic only a couple times, and I feel like I always get lasered with him because he's simply just a big body. His hitbox is huge. Granted, he takes less damage, but you can still just get absolutely lasered, right? You come across a good player, they're not going to miss a shot. You're playing Caustic, you're kind of screwed. You have no movement to get out of the situation. And I wish you can kind of like chuck a gas trap at the homies. That'd be funny if it did damage when you just hit him with the gas trap. Unfortunately, though, he is down here in the D tier. Next, we got Gibby. And you already know where Gibby's going. Gibby might be one of the best, not one of the best, might be the best legend in the game. Legends in the game. His gun shield is insane. It gives you 50 extra shield when you're in a fight. If you're in a like close quarter battle with a Gibby, I myself am going to lose 10 times out of 10. Plus his dome is clutch. It helps fortify your position. But you can also be aggressive off of his dome. You can chuck his dome towards like an enemy. You can push a little bit closer, narrow that gap between the two of you guys. And his ultimate is insane, right? His ultimate does a lot of damage very quickly, especially if you're out in the open, you're not fighting in close quarters. You chuck an ultimate, throw your dome down, and you're chilling. You're chilling. The enemy can't push because you're sitting in the dome, and they're just going to take all that damage. Next up, we got Horizon. And I know Horizon used to be absolutely insane. When she was released, she was probably one of the most aggressive characters in the entire game. However, as we know, she did just get a fat nerf. She got nerfed into the ground. One of my good homies is actually a Horizon main. He has like nearly 5K kills with her. And he still does some pretty nasty things with her. I will say she's not terrible. She still has good movement. She's still able to take high ground. You just have to be more careful with how you use her tactical, right? We know her tactical shoots you up slower than it ever has before. If you're going against a good player, you're probably going to get lasered. So you just got to be a little bit more tactical with her tactical. Makes sense, right? Her ultimate's still good. In Horizon's kind of kit, in her bag, you can afford to keep a couple grenades in there. So you toss an ultimate, throw a couple arc stars, and you're doing some big damage. So she's definitely B tier. Even after the nerf, she's not down low. She's B tier, still viable, still a ton of fun to play. I just recently picked her up, or picked up playing her, and she's a lot of fun. Definitely viable. Next, we got Lifeline. And Lifeline is actually the first heirloom I got. I don't even really play Lifeline. I just think the drumsticks are cool, so I was like, I'm gonna get her get her heirloom. I'd say she's a B tier character. She got some nerfs and some buffs kind of at the same time. So when I first started playing at the end of season 8, she would put up like a shield in front of somebody while you're rezzing them. That was absolutely busted. However, they took that away, but now you can just tap somebody and get right into the fight. So your homie gets knocked. Usually I'm the homie who gets knocked. Lifeline runs over, taps you real quick, and they're still able to shoot at the enemy, kind of hold them down, put some cover fire while you get rezzed and you heal up. Lifeline is legit. Her care package is nice. They buffed the care package, so now you don't just get like random things in there. It like sends something your way that your team needs. She's just an all-around good character. Definitely viable. Definitely not somebody to kind of sleep on, if that makes sense. Next up, we got Loba. And Loba has a near and dear place in my heart. One of my best friends mains Loba, and it's absolutely clutch. The clutchest thing in the world is when you get to endgame and you need like some better shield. Maybe you're like stuck with a blue shield, because me, I just camping corners because I'm scared to fight, or I'm afraid to fight anybody. You get to endgame, Loba throws her ult, and you get a purple shield, you get a red shield, you can find a Kraber somewhere. Loba is kind of busted. Her tactical did just get fixed. She can escape situations. The only problem, and one buff I feel like Loba needs, is you should be able to just throw your tactical, let it sit there, and then teleport to it when you want, kind of thing. That would be a super legit buff. If that was to happen, she would low-key be like an A tier, maybe even an S tier character, because her ultimate is nice. It charges so fast. She starts the game with 50% already. And like I said, I might just be biased because one of my homies mains her, but it is the clutchest thing when you get to an end game and you can find what you need. Maybe it's ammo, maybe it's shield, maybe it's just an arc star, whatever the case may be, Loba can get it for you. Next up is Mirage. I used to think Mirage was like kind of busted just because I would always get bamboozled, but he doesn't have a whole lot of movement, right? We know Apex is all about movement. Mirage doesn't really do any of that. He's fun to play. His character is great. His voice lines are phenomenal. However, again, it just comes down to movement. Apex is all about movement. Mirage does not cover that. His ultimate is even bugged right now. I'm sure you guys have seen it. He drops his ultimate down, and out of nowhere, they all just kind of group up in the same spot. That's just tough. Mirage is feeling the pain right now. Next up, we got Bangalore. And I'm actually a Bangalore main. I wouldn't say main, but I play Bangalore the most. And she's probably the most well-rounded character in the game. She's been around from the start. She hasn't really been touched a whole lot. Her smokes are great for defense. They're great for offense. And her ultimate is absolutely insane. It can stop an enemy from pushing you. You can sit in a building, hold it down. And she's just, like I said, all around well-rounded. Her passive is insane. You get shot at and she doubles in speed. And you also get a voice line that kind of lets you know that, hey, people are about to piece you up. Once again, just one of the most all-around, well-rounded legends. She's not quite S tier. She doesn't do anything that's busted, but she's always a great pick, right? Next up, we got Bloodhound. I'm going to put Bloodhound as the second best character in the game. Even after his nerf, his scan only lasts for 3 seconds now. Doesn't last for 4, okay? But his scan is still absolutely insane. You can literally detail where enemies are. Whether you're in the middle of the fight, you can scan them multiple times, or you're pushing into a new position. You just hit a scan and it lets you know, oh, this place is free, or hey, there's some enemies here. We need to kind of watch our back, kind of thing. His ultimate is still insane, right? It lets you know where enemies are. You can see a little red dot pops up where they are. It's also just good for movement, right? If you need to rotate, you need a quick rotation, you just pop his ultimate and you can get to the spot twice as fast as you would have been able to prior. Our last character, who is definitely a fan favorite, I think he's the most picked character in the entire game, right, is Octane. And I think Octane is maybe the third, arguably the second best character in the game. Even after his jump pad nerf, it's still busted, right? I've talked to a lot of Octane mains, and they don't even notice the difference between a 90-second cooldown and a 60-second cooldown. His stem shot is phenomenal. He has the best, again, it comes down to movement in the game. Nobody can do what Octane does, right? Nobody can do what Octane does. He's also just a fun character to play. His voice lines are great. He's just a funny man. And again, it all comes down to movement. So This is my first tier list. I appreciate y'all for watching. Anyone in the chat, I appreciate y'all. I look forward to making more YouTube videos in the future. If you guys have any changes you would make to this tier list, comment down below. Come follow the Twitch and let me know that I'm an idiot. Okay. I appreciate y'all all. Appreciate all y'all. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out, everybody.